Hey everybody, this is Billy Martell,
And I'm Bobby Calloway.
and we are here to review Martin McDonagh's latest magnum opus, Seven Psychopaths.
Oh, ominous title there indeed.
Yeah.
Ominous.
So, like we did when we were reviewing The Dark Knight Rises, we figure we'll give you our brief uh, baseline ideas about the film for those of you who haven't seen it, and for those of you who have seen it or just don't care to see it at all. You can stay after that for the in-depth analysis of two college students.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
we're actually studying this. Well, he is. I
yeah,
study the other things the movie talks about, but we'll get to that.
we'll get to that. So yeah, obviously since we study this stuff in school, we have so much to say about it because we know so much. But anyway, uh, we're so yeah. First, our just our basic ideas. Bobby, you want to go first? What do you think of this movie?
Okay. Um. Well, for those of you who don't know out there, Martin McDonough is usually a playwright. He's a very, very good playwright. Has written some great stuff. Look him up. So I knew the writing was going to be good coming in, but even I was surprised a few times with the way the writing addressed itself in the layers of the narrative. So I thought that was very good. Acting all around in this is really good. Like, some of the best ensemble acting I've seen in a while. Certainly not the best ever. I mean, that there have been certain movies that have just all around been like perfectly cast and everything. This one has very good leads and very good supporting,
Mm-hmm.
but a few weak other roles. And we'll get into that in the meat of the review. But overall, I give this an A minus because it was a fun watch. It's my kind of movie. There aren't enough good profane black comedies with a bit of heart to them in the theaters anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie had like heart and characters and just great one-liners in spades, and that's exactly what I wanted going in. So aside from a few minor gripes, I think I give it an A minus.
Sweet.
What about you,
Um,
Billy?
yeah. Well, I was really confusingly blown away by this movie. What I mean by that is just that it was. I had no idea what to expect because when you hear the title Seven Psychopaths, you think black comedy, or at least I think black comedy version of the Seven Samurai, except really sick and twisted. But
Uh,
going into this, like watching the trailers were terrible. They really made this whole thing look like a piece of crap. But I was still really excited because it was Christopher Walken, it was Colin Firth and or Colin Farrell, I think.
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, and Martin McDonough. So I knew that combination was gold, and my gosh, it was. It was the story is very unconventionally told, and it might throw you for a loop every now and again. And I know that by the time I finished the film, my head was buzzing around in circles, like trying to figure out what it was trying to say. But it is a thoroughly enjoyable ride. I know that even for me as just a student who's like tried his hand at writing like only once or twice, I can totally see and relate to where it's a film about a writer named Marty. A little bit of self-insertion fanfic there, but anyway, but Martin McDonough can get away with it. Uh, I can see where he's going and where he's coming from, and it just it throws you for so many loops. Like the trailer and the posters are designed to throw you off. So if you have a feeling you know what kind of movie you're in for when you're coming in, you have no idea. It like that. And I describe if I had to describe the film, I came up with this a while back. Is like it's like if you're watching if you it's like if it's like the movie adaptation, except you have fun while you're watching it. That's about all I can say. And so if I was to give it a letter grade, um, I'm really not sure. I would give it an A. I'm not sure if it's an A minus or an A plus, but I would give it an A. It's up there. It's just like it left my mind was boggled, and Martin McDonough has a way of leaving plays or his stories off in a sort of like a limbo area at the end where you're not sure if you're supposed to feel good or bad or you're just not sure. and that this movie was very much in keeping with that tradition, where it's just like, uh, you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed the film. I don't take that remark about the ending as like it left me feeling empty or something like that. No, it was a good film. I enjoyed it a lot, and I think that you will enjoy this film, if only for the sequence that was put in the trailer a lot, the graveyard shootout sequence. I think even if you do not understand the subtlety of the film or the subtext, you will enjoy it for that scene. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling I probably talked much. I have a feeling from the way I just rambled on like that, I'm going to be the reason why we go over time this time. But let's go into the meat of the review now.
Yeah.
And
Well,
also spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
Go away if you don't want to know anything.
go away.
Spoilers.
Watch the movie, please.
Yes.
All right. So let's see.
Guys, just so you know, Dumbledore dies at the end, so we're gonna throw that out anyway.
And all you people who stayed are so ashamed of yourselves now. Anyway,
Okay, but okay, Billy, why don't you take a stab at characters first, and I'll kind of
characters.
jump in and yeah, characters and acting overall.
Characters and acting overall. Let's start with the one that's the most high profile, I would think, of any of them, Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
When you watch a Christopher Walken movie, you know what you're getting into. I mean, nowadays. In the old days, there was a little bit more variety to his work, but nowadays, you know what you're getting into. If you've seen Saturday Night Live, you know how Christopher Walken operates, and you know the style of acting that you're in for. It doesn't vary much. But Martin McDonagh is a huge Christopher Walken fan, and he like writes his scripts for, like, if you read the play that he wrote for Christopher Walken, The Handing in Spokane, it's difficult to separate the dialogue from Christopher Walken's voice. It's really difficult to do that.
I got to watch this guy try that monologue from this show, and it was kind of fun to watch him struggle with it.
It was terrible. It was like, because you don't want to just be, oh my gosh, they took my hand, but you just end up going into that all the time. But the point is, he knows how to write for Christopher Walken, and I have to say, out of the movies that I've seen of Christopher Walken in recent years, this is the one where I could detect him reading off of a cue card the least. There was one scene when he was talking to his wife where he was looking at a random corner of the room, and I was like, there's a cue card there, isn't there?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
other than that, I mean, this was pretty good. There were moments of this Walken performance that harken my mind back to his performance as the Antichrist in True Romance. The scene where he sits down across the way from Woody Harrelson, and he offers him his ascot or whatever it is. I was terrified just because Christopher Walken was sitting across from the man who, again, spoiler alert, killed his wife, and he just has that Christopher Walken smile. And there's just something about Christopher Walken, when he walks into a room, everyone gets uneasy.
Yeah. On a brief note, I just want to toss this out there. Another scene that I think everybody will enjoy, just on a filmmaking perspective, the entire sequence in the hospital with Woody Harrelson and the actress playing Christopher Walken's wife and Walken, that scene blew me away. It was it was uncomfortable all the way through.
Yeah.
And at first, you didn't know why you were uncomfortable. There was just a palpable energy about it that just, yeah. May I riff off the Walken performance a little bit?
Go for it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Walken. I actually, kind of discovered him relatively recently. I just watched Nostalgia Critic's list of his most awkward performances and tracked down a bunch of those. But I really think he's a great actor because shortly thereafter I watched him on stage in Behanding in Spokane. I got the chance to see him in that. And I'm here to tell you, if anyone doesn't believe he's a good actor, that would prove anyone wrong. He was great. He didn't have a chance to read cue cards. He had to memorize 10-minute long like monologues and like put emotion into them. I mean, he was still walking, but it works, and like it was such a great combo. And yeah, I think the thing for Walken is he always tries to have fun with his movies, but you can visually see sometimes if he's struggling. Like I watched Balls of Fury because he was in. There are scenes where you can tell he just is trying so hard to enjoy the material, but it's really painful for him even.
Yeah.
And this is like he's like 69 when he made this movie, and it doesn't show because he's got a vitality to him that I haven't seen in years. It's just like he loves the script. He's jazzed up about this script, and
He actually managed to come off as a little bit like sweet and suave when he was in the scenes with his wife.
yeah,
Like the dead Walken face actually like would come a little bit more alive than usual, and he just like had this sort of like, yeah, you know, baby, face on, and is like, aww.
yeah, yeah. And then he probably has, out of that graveyard shootout, I think he probably has the second best moment in it. It's just
His face when he shoot people is just like, oh, ow, oh.
Yeah, he's definitely having fun with this. And I like how they actually played off his actual persona because I've seen interviews with Walken, and he's like, I always play a bad guy, and I gotta shoot people, but I hate guns. I really hate them.
Really? I did not know that about him.
He's like a total pacifist. He actually said that during King of New York shoot, literally every time a scene would get done, he'd have to he'd drop the gun, like shake his hand out, and then pick up the gun for the next take, just because he didn't like to hold it, like, at all.
I've had to do that after writing papers.
Yeah, just he's I like that cool. McDonough is able to play off the actual personalities of the actors he's playing with, or like the personas, like we've said, that you come to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Walken is actually my number two character. I think was the best in the movie. I think. I don't know if you agree, Billy, but I think Sam Rockwell kind of walked away with pretty much every scene.
There's no question. He was. Yeah. I will never say a bad word about his acting again.
Did you?
I didn't have as much respect for him before this movie, I gotta say, because like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Iron Man 2, Galaxy Quest, it always felt like the same guy to me. It's just like, I'm really awkward, but I'm laughing, man! Come on! Yes. But this movie, oh my gosh, his character in this movie is like one of the most complex. I mean, imagine the Jim Carrey movie Cable Guy, where Jim Carrey's a psychotic guy, a psychopath, who is obsessed with being friends with this one guy and won't leave him alone. Imagine that character. Now imagine if you could actually take that character seriously in a movie. Like, if he was played by someone who had just as much energy as Jim Carrey, but at the same time had, like, this sort of, like, right behind the eyes is someone who you really do not want to mess with thing. Like, someone who is just childish enough, but exists in the real world and is like, he's just... This is the strength of the casting in this movie. When they cast the characters, and there's this little pop-up here that I need to get rid of because it's in the video, is when they cast these characters in the film, they are people who can play it like you do not know what they are going to do next.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what a psychopath is like. So you have, like, Christopher Walken. You never know what he's going to do next. You have, and you have Woody Harrelson, who I'm beginning to believe reinvents himself for every role he's in. Because I totally did not see anything of Zombieland in this performance at all. Like, this for those who don't know, this is the second performance of Woody Harrelson that I have seen that's not Cheers. Like, I knew him from Cheers. I saw Zombieland this weekend, blown away by that. Watched this, blown away anew. He played a completely different character. I didn't recognize him except for, his face.